Welcome to the Digital Customer Experience Podcast by Kiosk. My name is Daniel Paul, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories, insights, and expert opinions on the ever evolving world of digital customer experience. This podcast is brought to you by Kiosk. Kiosk is a leading SaaS company with a versatile B2B platform combining innovative products and services to drive success in sales, marketing support, and customer engagement for major brands worldwide. Today, we have an absolutely amazing guest whose journey is as intriguing as it's inspiring. From the dreams of law to a storied career in the automotive industry, she is the managing director of Volvo Cars in Sweden. She turned happy customers and employees into profitable mantra, all while maintaining a vibrant personal life filled with family, fashion, and a love for the outdoors. Having lived across Europe, our guest brings a rich tapestry of cultural insights to her work, blending a passion for design, leisure with a keen eye for sales and marketing. I'm super excited to have Jessica Spahn, the managing director of Volvo Cars Sweden, to our podcast. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And lovely to have you. And I want to start on a lighter note.
Yes.
Jessica is very well known in the space of automotive industry in Sweden. Who is Jessica outside of work? What does Jessica love?
It's always the most difficult question. So I'm a normal mother of a 12-year-old, so super busy with that. I like to ski, to play golf. I like fashion. I like everything French, but Italian wine. And I like to travel, but I also, as I become older, I also enjoy to stay at home a little bit too much. So I have to combine the two. This longing to travel, but also that I like to stay home all the time as well. So
It's a good balance, right? You love
yes,
outdoors and you also love your pet.
yeah,
Amazing. And there are a very interesting and intriguing thing about Sweden when I was researching. There's something called as fika in Sweden.
yeah,
What is it?
yeah. Well, how can we explain that? And sometimes I don't, maybe we talk too much about it, but it's a way of having a coffee. But in Sweden, you often have it with something sweet. So you have to think away from the cool Italian small espresso and think that you make it into a social happening where you take actually a large cup of coffee and you have something sweet aside with it. And it's a chance of catching up and
Is
having
it
a
a
pause at
regular
work.
thing? Does it
It's
happen often?
yes, it's a regular thing. It's you often say in Sweden is that of course we go for a drink, but as you would say in the UK, let's go to the pub or let's go for a drink. We say, should we have a fika? That means should we have a coffee after work?
I'm learning. I'm learning so much about
Yeah.
Sweden. And talking about Sweden, uh, there's a beautiful place called Gothenburg, which is also your birthplace and where you were raised. What is that one special thing about Gothenburg that our listeners needs to know?
First of all, we often say that Gothenburg isn't as beautiful, but we make it up by having the nicest inhabitants. So people from Gothenburg tend to be humoristic and fun to be around. Maybe it's because our city isn't as beautiful as Stockholm, but so it's a nice place to be. It's also the birth town, as you say, of Volvo cars, of course.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Mhm.
So Volvo Cars' birthplace is actually from Gothenburg.
Yes.
Didn't know that. Thanks for
Mhm.
sharing that. And one thing that I've always thought about leaders who are managing a lot of people, a big team, being the managing director of Volvo Cars Sweden, how do you
Yeah.
keep up with this all of these latest trends with the internet?
I surround myself with very good people and team who keep me on my toes because it's impossible to keep up with everything. And but they keep me updated, and of course, it's a teamwork, it's a team effort, and managing a company is also very much a team who's doing it. So it's this maybe idea that it's one single MD that calls all the shots is it's simply not true, and thank God for that.
And you being an MD of Volvo cars is one thing. You being a mother at home is another thing. So how
Yeah.
do you keep up with the trends that's happening at home? Like, who is introducing you to the next coolest things?
Yeah, my 12-year-old, of course, keep me on my toes also. She introduced, well, she's a big TikTok user and fan, of course. And I'm just amazed on how much information those small kids, how much they know about a lot of things, much more than when I grew up, of course. And they have questions about everything. And so at the same time they are very knowledgeable, but they are also kids, and you have to balance that. But of course I'm introduced to all kind of strange trends that I don't know anything about, but I'm learning. Yeah, keeps me young, keeps me
Lovely.
younger.
That's the best part about having teenagers or young adults at home, right?
It
So
is.
mom might be like very big managing director, but at home she's constantly learning something
Yeah,
new about
no, I'm a
TikTok. Or,
total embarrassment all the time. Yeah.
aren't we all at home? Like,
Yeah.
our kids
We
like,
are.
no, no.
It's
Makes
just keeps
sense.
us grounded. Yeah.
Yes. And one thing that I wanted to ask you on a personal level is, how do you balance time when it comes to work and personal life? And you said you used to do a lot of outdoor, you like being outdoors, family is important to you. How do you balance these two stuffs?
First of all, I must say that you should choose a company that stands for human-centric values. So I work for Volvo. We have a very good policy in work-life balance that helps a lot. We have a culture of not overstressing our people, but uh, I also think that's also something it comes with experience. I had much more problem with work-life balance when I was younger. Now I really think you become a better leader if you also don't spend all your awake time thinking about work or cars in my case. And you actually become a better leader if you get this work-life balance right. Is it always easy? No, because you often don't choose when you have to spend a lot of time at work. Maybe it's the same time that really when your family needs you as most, and you just have to, uh, you know, try to cope with it. But I actually really remind myself very often that even if I have I love my job and it's super important, it's not the end of the world. It's not life or death. It's only cars. And sometimes I think about that.
And the reason why I'm asking this is, as you said, as people are younger, they tend to put a lot of importance and focus on work,
Yeah,
and as you grow older you also understand what is important, and as you said,
yeah.
it's not the end of the world. But when and how did this transition happen, so that youngsters these days also know how can they transform to having this balance?
Maybe that is a learning phase. I think it's because I had so many people telling me that when I was younger that, oh, life is so much other things. But I enjoyed it. I mean, when I was 30, I enjoyed working day and night. I liked it. I liked the vibrance of it. I traveled a lot in my previous work, and it was never a problem for me. And I didn't listen to all these older people telling me to slow down. And so I also have two bonus sons who are in their 30s, and I tell them the same thing. Hey, it's only work, slow down. Life is both too short but also long. You will have time for everything, but do they listen? And maybe it's just a phase you need to go through.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah,
And now shifting into your automotive career,
yeah,
you being a leader in the Volvo car sector, having seen the trends changing constantly,
yeah.
what are the key trends, especially in automotive e-commerce, that are crucial for staying in the competitiveness of the rapidly growing market?
Well, actually, I think today it's this. Sorry, I apologize for my voice. It's also apart from fika, we also have bad weather in Sweden, so we're constantly
That's
cold
all right.
doing stuff. Um, I think an important trend is that we saw um, we saw e-commerce maybe 10 years ago as something that would make things easier, maybe save cost. People would do a lot of things online. We didn't have to have all these people taking care of customers, etc. That it has very rapidly moved into something that we now call omni, that customer wants to be everywhere. They want to have a physical experience. They want to meet somebody to talk to. They want to have all the information available online. They want to do whatever. I mean, some people want to do everything digitally online, don't see anybody. Some people want to have a mix of it. Some people want to have an only, a personal experience. And this is quite complex to achieve in retail, especially if you have also a complex product like a car, where you have financing and you have service and all these things that is linked to buying a car. And I think that's a big, uh, maybe not a revolution, but it's an evolution. How do you manage that? I think it became much more complex. That maybe 10 years ago we thought this would be a simplify um, retailer, and now it makes it more complex, but also more interesting and fun, and at the end of it, a better customer experience, of course. So I think
Lovely.
that's a big learning,
And
at
I
least.
even see how you approach this. You said it's complicated, but it's interesting because it gives a better customer experience,
Yes,
right?
especially when something is good and provide a better customer experience. It's very often, of course, complex. It ain't easy. So
Can you discuss the significance of digital customer experience
yes.
for Volvo Sweden's success?
Yeah, so first of all, the customer have this big expectation of the brand, but they also expect us to, because it's not only buying a car, it's also having a car, or even if you lease it, you have it on subscription, you have a life with your car. It's something that, as I said before, you need to service it, you need to put winter tires on, you're driving it, you need to charge it, and the customer, of course, think that now when everything is digital and everything is connected, they expect us to know everything about them. That if they have problems with charging, or if they have problems with a car, or if they have a certain, I mean, I had this car before, but now I have a family, I'm interested in that. There is an expectation that we would be a part of their life, that we would
Mm,
know maybe sometimes more than we do about them, and that. The expectation is to have a digital experience that is sometimes a mirror of their life, which is super um, interesting. And it really, as I said, raised the bar for us, but it's also complex. But I think that we managed that not at all to where we want to be, because this is really an evolution and it goes fast.
mm,
But we put a lot of effort into making this customer journey transparent over the period of when you live with your car, because it's a big freedom symbol, and people use it in their life, and it's important to them. And we should somehow reflect that also in the customer journey, if that makes sense. If you understand
100%.
what I mean. It's not something
100%.
that you buy, and when you bought it, you put it on in the shelf like a book, and then you maybe when you read it, you forget about it. It's something that's an integral part of your, managing this work-life balance, as we talked about.
Yes. And what is interesting is also you're talking about the customer journey, right? As a leader, how do you make sure there's a comprehensive understanding of customer journey to solve the issues and save time? Because it comes down to solving problems and saving
Yeah,
time
yeah,
inside a customer journey. How do you ensure that it happens?
yeah. And this is something that really the digital, we have to say, revolution, or it has helped us with as a company, because when you didn't have this uh, in real time interaction with your customers that you can have digitally, there was always a bit of a distance between a car manufacturer and its customers. There was often wholesalers or retailers in between, and there wasn't a direct link. now when we are digital, we have direct relations with our customers and with our retailers, of course, and it's a very instant feedback and reaction for when the customer journey is broken, which actually helps us as a leader to put focus on this, because it's uh, it's an instant uh, feedback when something goes wrong. When you read online the reviews that, this happened to my car, or this customer journey is totally broken, this is what problems I had, and so that really helps to keep focus on it. And I dare to say that this is as high on the agenda now as to be financially sound or to register as many cars as possible, that you really get this awareness that you need happy customers to make a happy business.
100%. And one question that comes to my mind when you're talking about this customer journey, and you also mentioned about the dealerships.
Yeah,
How important is the relationship with dealers when it comes to Volvo Sweden? Uh,
it's super important. I mean, what really this digital world has done is that we are all one step closer to the customer. So we are also closer to our retail partners. They are, they are in very many areas the Volvo brand. Even if they're independent business entrepreneurs, they are also a part of Volvo, and the customer sees them as such. And they just do. Integral, really important services for us, for the customers. But we need to be closer to them, because the customer also wants us to know who they are. So we need to take one step closer to our retail partners. The retail partners is one step closer to their customers, and we all become when it goes well, one happy family.
yeah,
So
and because I'm also talking about retailers and dealership, I also want to talk about the elephant in the room that we need to address is like switching towards direct sales, right?
yeah.
Many top electric vehicles are already switching towards direct sales. And what is Volvo, Car Sweden's plan towards switching towards direct sales?
Yeah, we already have it today in Sweden. I mean, part of our sales is direct. If the customer wants it, we're here. We sell cars to them, but it's also, and this is maybe boring to discuss with the customer, or if this gets too public, but the discussion is really what in the customer journey, who does what. And sometimes we sell cars directly, but we of course cannot service the cars. We cannot, if customer wants to do a test drive, we cannot perform it from a headquarter in Gothenburg. So there is, I think, I think everybody understands that direct sales is an integral part of the business, but so is also direct services. It's something that our retail partners provide to our customers. And if a customer wants to have uh, direct sales, but they want to have a real-time test drive, that needs to be incorporated in the customer journey as well. So direct sales doesn't mean that we take over everything from an anonymous headquarter. It just actually means that some things we can go do directly, and maybe that could also mean that we have more time for a good uh, customer, to spend more time to actually meet the customer when they pick up their car, or to explain some features. So a lot of the administration can be directly done by us. So I think our retail partners also see it as positive in many aspects. So as every business, you need to evolve,
Yeah,
and you just have to ask yourself, who does what in this customer journey.
yeah, and it's beautiful how you put it, like every business needs to evolve. And as you say more and more about the processes, the customer journey is constantly in the process of innovation. What can be done
Yes,
better tomorrow? What can be
yes,
done better day after tomorrow? So that's beautiful to hear from the managing director of Volvo Cars Sweden, because this is something that people don't understand what goes behind in such a big 100-year-old history car company, which is
yeah.
known for design, pricing,
And I think sometimes
exclusivity.
we get so internal in business press. So we talk a lot about that this should be what do the retailers say, and what do they say when you go direct, etc. But you forget about the customer. I mean, the customer has all the power here, and the customer couldn't care less who sends the invoice. That's not important. I mean, if in some cases that's easier and more direct that we do that and have the customer data, so be it. I mean, but that shouldn't bring down the experience for the customer. It should make it smoother, simpler. And if we haven't achieved a better customer experience and a lower cost, we have not achieved anything. So I just think you cannot fight evolution. It
I think
happens in all businesses.
that's a beautiful mindset, and that's why Volvo is where it is today. So thank you for sharing that beautiful insight. And now I want to ask you on a personal experience, right?
Hmm.
Is there any experience that has significantly changed your business or a project management that you've done, or any approach that has actually sparked an innovation with regards to Volvo?
Yes, since I'm in very much in sales, I must say that this last years when we have seen what e-commerce or the digital aspect of the business can bring. It has, I mean, some things that you read a lot about when you study management is, the importance of change management, how you should treat people in times where there is a lot of change, and you think, oh, it's very theoretical, and then how
Mm,
hard can it be? But it really opened my eyes to how important it is to talk about things that happen, to address it, to talk openly about it, to be transparent, to actually talk about with your retail partners that this will change, but this will also improve, to talk about people inside the business that I mean, everything from becoming an electric vehicle company from where we were 10 years ago to having direct sales. Well, to really talk open and transparent about it, but at a certain time also take a decision to move forward, to don't get stuck. I think it's when you're in the middle of such a big transformation as the car industry is now, it's a big learning for me that there is a reason for why we talk a lot about change management, because it's really important to get it right, to be able to move quickly in times of big changes, because it often comes in sequences that you're suddenly, it feels like every change in the world is hitting just your industry, and then it cools down, and then you're in it again.
yeah,
So
and
we
because
need to be,
you're in the hot seat, right? You're in the
yeah,
place where you have to decide, and you have to pass the information forward to the entire team under you. So, what is one big challenge with regards to, we have this customer journey, right? When it
yeah.
comes to change management, it is a journey from one end to the other. What is one big challenge that you faced when there was a huge transformation happening? What is the biggest challenge?
That I faced, or
Yeah.
that I think, yeah, I think to that we had to rethink about every part of the customer journey, who's doing what, that things that were historically done by one part of the business was maybe moving to us, or the opposite, some things that we done was doing with our partners, and that the customer can do a lot of things themselves. I mean, this was it really it really makes you think in a business that you have to start from maybe a white paper and think about how do we do this in a better way. Can we start from the beginning, because it also gives you a lot of opportunity in times of big change, that you could actually redo things. You don't have to do it as you always did. There is now actually, everybody expects you to just throw out the old drawing and come up with something new, and that's exciting, but it could also be frightening. And in a big organization, you really have to talk. I believe a lot in transparency, that you talk openly about it. Okay, how does this feel? Does this scares us in one way, but it also gives us opportunities, and always think about, is it better for the customer? But if it's not providing any joy for the customer or any profitability to don't do it just because it's called change.
Yep. And one thing that I noticed in the last year is Volvo Cars introduced an amazing new one called as EX30.
Mm.
And it's been a huge success in the Nordics, and I'm assuming across the globe as well. So, from a car that is premium only for the selected few, now Volvo has opened a new market. So,
Yes.
is there something similar that people can expect in the future as well? Hey, I can, get Volvo car. There's new ones like EX30. Is there something like that coming in the future where everyone can afford?
Uh, yeah, I mean, the EX30 is very much targeting a new audience for us, which we are super happy for. It's still a premium product, and I have all the um, respect in the world for that. Cars are expensive, cars are hard to get, and so it's a it's really a thin line to balance, as you say, to be a company that, especially in Sweden, we want to be a company for all Swedes, but of course it isn't for everybody, because I mean, young people can hardly afford a new Volvo the first thing when they're 18. But um, I really like this. You will see a lot of news from Volvo coming, but there is, of course, thinking behind it that we will have a car, even though it's a premium product, for every stage of your life as well. So that you can move with Volvo in your life. That from when you're young, maybe you're a single household, to when you start a family, and then your kids move out, you're back again, and you're close to a single youngster again, and that we can be with you all the time. That is, of course, a dream to think about a customer following us like that.
Amazing, amazing. And I just wanted to ask this question because I personally loved this EX30 when I saw it for the first time. And we worked
Okay,
with
we
one of
do.
the
Mm.
Volvo dealers here in Finland. It was amazing how compact it was, but it still had the speed to the technology to everything inside. So I just wanted to shoot it to the managing director of Volvo Cars in Sweden.
Yeah.
And we are coming almost to the end of our podcast. But there's one very special question that I want to ask you. If I were to give you a magic wand and to
Yeah.
say, Jessica, you have this one wand. You can solve any problem that you have, but there's this one big problem you could solve with regards to the automotive industry. What would that be?
No, I want to, I want to give you the world peace answer. So, of course, we have a huge. Um, in the car industry was part of the climate problem for so long, and now we are a lot of a lot of us are taking all the right steps to become a climate neutral and a positive impact on the climate rather than the opposite. So of course I would just want to waive that and just make cars sustainable, because it's an important symbol of freedom for many people. We need them, but they need to quickly become part of the solution rather than part of the problem. So if I can make that go quicker, and fossil fuel, etc., and go to more sustainable, both how we manufacture cars, but how we use them, and make it more affordable for everybody, I would do that.
Amazing. And do you have a roadmap on when Volvo Cars is completely becoming electric?
Yeah, we're a electric production company as from 2030, and climate neutral from 2040. So it's a big, big step. So and of course Sweden is very high on the electrification journey. So it will go quicker, maybe in Sweden, um, than in globally as well. So I hope I will see us becoming 100% sustainable quicker than maybe other markets. So
Thank you so much, Jessica. We have come to the end of this podcast. I want to thank your time and your expertise in
thank
being a
you very
part of
much,
our
Daniel, for
podcast.
having me.
And I wish Volvo Cars and your team in Sweden the best. And we're waiting to see what Volvo is going to release in the forthcoming years. And thank you once again for being a part of our podcast.
Thank you very much. It was a
Yeah.
true pleasure. Thanks.
And for our viewers, if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to more in-depth discussions of the digital customer experience. Drop us a comment below with your thoughts or any questions that you might have for Jessica and our future guest. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating. This is Daniel Paul from Kiosk.